How you feeling? How you living? What's good? It's your girlfriend Scene. Today is Say That Saturday, where we say what we need to say and get it all out. So today I wanted to talk about something that has just been a big issue for me for the last, 5 years? How long have I been out of law school? Actually, when I was in law school, it's been a problem with me for most of my adult life, let's say. And it's been a problem for a lot of people my age, millennials who have gone to school, who are now trying to be adults, because I put it in quotes because are we really being adults? Are we? I don't think I am. I don't think I'm doing it well. And that's what we're talking about, because today we're talking about imposter syndrome. Now, if you've never heard of it, you may have it and not even know it, because it's something that I think is very common nowadays. So let me read you the verbatim definition so that you can get a better understanding. Imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern where one doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. Now, a lot of times this stems from feeling like you aren't good enough based on kind of minute or non-existent things. And seeing other people and comparing yourself to other people, there's always this comparison. You kind of feel like either you're not enough or you're not doing enough, and you're not enough to be seen as what you are presenting yourself to be, whether it be in your job, as a parent. Sometimes I've heard this happens, as you know, a person in general, as an adult. Like I said, I feel like I'm not adulting properly and you know, you feel like your skills or what you're doing or what you're supposed to be doing isn't good enough, and that you feel like someone's gonna call you out because they're like, And a lot of times this presents itself in different ways, right? So I pretty much identify with all these ways, but let's go down to like the top 5 things that it presents itself as. So one of the biggest ones, and one of the ones that I gripe with a lot, is feeling like you have to be perfect at everything. I think a lot of times when people who are dealing with imposter syndrome go into situations, they feel like if they're not perfect at it, then they're not good at it at all. You feel like every single accomplishment you've made, unless it is the top of what you're supposed to be doing, it doesn't mean anything. So if you're in school and you aren't at the top of your class, if you are at your job and you're not, seeming like you're doing the best that you possibly can, then you feel like a failure. Or even in small stuff. Like for me personally, doing this YouTube channel, sometimes I feel like I'm wasting my time or I'm a failure because I'm trying my best to do the best I can. It doesn't feel like it's reaping the rewards that it should be. So I'm not perfect at it. I'm always messing up. I'm sometimes getting my editing wrong, and I feel like a failure. And a lot of times for some people, this causes them to not try in the first place, right? If you can't be perfect at it, then you're not going to do it. That's a lot of the reason why I didn't start my YouTube channel when I wanted to, because I felt like I'm not going to be great at it immediately. So why even try? That's so dumb. Like, you can hear that and say it's dumb, but internally in your brain you're like, no, it's a waste, because they're going to figure out that I'm not good at it, and they're going to call me out as being a fraud, and then I'm going to be exposed. And that's the fear that comes with imposter syndrome. And a lot of times for this one, it definitely has to do with people who are kind of control freaks. So if you know someone's a control freak, me, then you know that they always want to do everything themselves, because if they don't do it, it's not going to be done right. That's always what they say. I've always tell people that I'm particular is because I feel like if I don't do things the way I want it to be done, it's not the right way. Stupid, I know. Another way this presents itself, you see a person who kind of feels like if they can't do it all, they don't want to do any of it, right? So this is a lot of times shown in people who don't want to apply to jobs because they're not 100% qualified. I used to be that person. I'm like, well, I don't fit this criteria and I don't fit this criteria, so I'm not going to apply because they're going to find out that I'm not going to be good at this job. And a lot of times I self-sabotage myself in that way, because there's plenty of jobs I probably could have got by now that I just never replied to. And that's a big one for people who kind of feel like they have to always measure up to the top or they ain't good at all. Next one. This one I also identify with, is people who don't like asking for help. Ooh, I felt that in my spirit. I am one of those people. If I can't finish it, if I can't do it, I will not ask for help. I will struggle to the day I die to do it myself. Because if I feel like if you ask for help, then you're not good enough. Then you're not actually good enough to take care of it on your own. And it took a lot of therapy, okay, for me to be like, I can ask people for help. Because it always felt like
Like, if I ask for help, then I'm not good enough. They're gonna figure out that I'm not good enough, and everybody's gonna know that I can't figure out everything on my own. Like, sis, you're just one person.
Like, sis, you're just one person. One person. You're one person, and you can't do everything by yourself. And it takes some time to realize that. But it stems from the idea that because you feel like your skills, talents, and accomplishments aren't enough, if you ask that person for help, then you're admitting that you're a fraud. Like, I'm supposed to be a lawyer and I'm supposed to be good at law. So if I have to ask for help, then I'm not good enough to do this job. If I'm asking for help financially, then I'm not good enough to support my own household. If I ask for help emotionally, then I'm not good enough to be a person who can handle their own. And it's always like, you always feel like you're not good enough, because if you ask for help, then I'm horrible. The next one is the workaholic. And I'm not really big of a workaholic, but this is the person who kind of always has to do more. They always are the last one to leave the office. They're the last one to clock out, because they feel like if they're not, then they're not doing enough. And I don't really think I identify much with that one. But I do understand it, because it feels like, well, if everybody else is leaving, I'm not leaving because
I need to prove that I'm better, or prove that I'm good enough, because I don't feel like I am.
And the last one is kind of that person who was like, I saw a meme, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to find it, but there was a meme that was like, I was mentally gifted as a child, and now I quit at everything that I'm not good at immediately. That's that person. The person who is like, I used to be smart, and if I'm not naturally good at it, then I don't want to do it. And it's somewhat close to the perfectionist, but the perfectionist will do it, but they don't feel good about themselves until they're perfect at it. The person in this scenario will do it and quit. Just absolutely quit. Be like, you know what? F it. I am going to quit. And like I said, the difference is that the perfectionist just consistently feels like a failure until they're perfect, which is impossible. And this person's like, I'm not even going to get to that level because I'm just going to quit. And, imposter syndrome is one of those things that I think is really hard to break, because there's always this feeling that you can do more, or that you aren't measuring up to other people. And a lot of times imposter syndrome comes from comparing yourself to other people. And in the day and age we have, in which we have social media and we have, everyone putting their accolades out there, it's very easy to feel like you're not good enough. Or it comes from internal feelings about yourself and your worth. Ooh, your worth. And that your worth comes from what you can do and what you can produce and what your talents are, instead of just being good enough for who you are. And so I wanted to make this video mainly because I've recently been dealing with imposter syndrome very heavily. Right now with COVID and everything going on, there's this whole thing about, oh, you've been home all day, why aren't you being productive? And I'm like, I can barely get out of bed some days, okay? And a lot of times I feel like, like I said, when I apply for jobs, because I'm currently applying to get, jobs, I feel like I'm not good enough for the jobs that I'm applying for. I feel like that I'm not going to get them. And I beat myself up about it before I even have an interview, before they even email me. Or I'll, doing this YouTube channel, like I said, I really wanted to do this for years. And even when I started, I was telling myself, nobody gonna watch these videos. Nobody won't watch this. You're not that interesting. In reality, it's more so coming from the idea that, like, I have issues with myself that I need to work on. Like I said, self-worth, comparing myself to other people, having this idea that my what I have already isn't good enough, as if I have to do more, I have to learn more. And I was always, every time I would make a video, I'm like, oh, I have to fix this, I have to fix that, I have to fix this, instead of looking at the fact that I just made a 20-minute video. I edited it myself, I did the thumbnail, I did all this stuff myself. And even after the project is out, I'm like,
this ain't good enough. You need to do better.
And yes, self-improvement and doing better and development is definitely necessary. But when you're at the point where every day, everything you do, you compare yourself or feeling like you're not doing enough, maybe check and see you may have imposter syndrome. And you know, it's very common. Like, there's so many articles out there about this. So if you would like, I could put some in the comment section below. You can read them, not the comment section, the description below, and you can read them and kind of understand how to get better. Because I think the best way to do that is just to kind of see yourself as you are right now. What you have is good enough, and if you develop further, great. But come with what you have and don't compare yourself to other people, because that usually leads to a lot of mental turmoil. Trust me, I know. So with that being said, if you like this video, hit that like button. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, put them in the comment section below. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. It helps me a lot. Like I said,
I'm sitting here dealing with the fact that I feel like I'm not good enough. So help me.
Help me feel better. And with that being said, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.